Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Harem with Kin, Mei and Anko Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. What do you mean you can't train me? Naruto asked his sensei. I'm saying, I'll be busy training Sasuke. To be honest Naruto, I never expected you to make it this far. I'm gonna be blunt, you don't stand a chance against Neji. He's a prodigy in his clan and rookie of his year. You try again in a couple years. You have no taijutsu style, your chakra control is average and you are hard-headed. You're not Chunin material. Naruto was quiet and processed everything he heard. He felt betrayed and angry. But I know you won't quit, so I found you another sensei. Tell Ebisu, I don't need his help. I train on my own and Kakashi, you're no longer my sensei. Naruto said before disappearing in a shushin. Kakashi was shocked at what he heard. He didn't mean to downplay Naruto but to hear his student say that, kind of hurt him. Naruto was walking past the bathhouse when he heard giggling. He looked up into a tree and saw a man peeking at the girl's side of the hot spring. Hey, what are you doing? Shut it, brat. You're ruining my research. The man said. Your research? You're just a pervert. Ladies, there's a pervert here picking on you. Naruto before leaping on the branch and kicking Jiraiya in the spring. Naruto chuckled and proceeded to walk away. Naruto was still laughing when he heard Jiraiya screamed in pain from what he could imagine as a horrible beating. Hey brat. Naruto was soon lifted up by his jumpsuit and Jiraiya was glaring at him. What was that for? You're a pervert. Naruto said. I'm not just a pervert, I'm a super pervert. Jiraiya said, dropping Naruto. Whatever, who are you anyway? Naruto asked. Who am I? The girls scream in joy when they hear my name, I'm Jiraiya the gallant and toad sage. Jiraiya introduces himself while doing a silly pose. Naruto's eyes widened. You're one of the Sannin. You're the one who trained the fourth. Jiraiya smiled and nodded. That's right, there was no one else like him. The best of the best. Can you train me too? Oh, can you remove this seal? The snake Tem put this on me. Naruto said, lifting his shirt. Jiraiya nodded. Alright, but this might hurt. 5-prong seal release. Jiraiya slammed his fingers on Naruto's stomach. Naruto clutching his stomach in pain and glared at the man. I told you it will hurt. Now how about we meet tomorrow and start your training? I'll drop by later after I talk to sensei. Naruto smiled at this. Great. See you later Ero Sennin. Naruto said, running to his apartment. Please, anyone, help me, I don't want to be sacrificed. Kin was being chased by Sound Nin after she found out she was going to be used for a sacrifice for her master or former master. Kin failed to kill Sasuke and lost to the Nara in the preliminary round. Orochimaru said she would be useful and thanks to her enhanced hearing, she found out about his plan. She was currently running through the alley of Konoha, ducking and weaving around trash. She could tell how wild the Sound Nin's footsteps were, letting lost sight of her. I need to hide. Kin snuck quietly out the alley so she couldn't be heard. Ouch. What the hell? Kin ran into someone and looked up, black eyes meeting cerulean blue. Hey, it's you. Naruto said, realizing it was Kin until he saw the panic in her eyes. What's the matter? Are you okay? Before Kin could respond, she heard the Sound Nin getting closer. She turned back to the blonde and gripped his shirt. Please, hide me. Don't let them take me. I don't want to be sacrificed. Naruto didn't know what to make of this but he wasn't as dumb as most people thought he was. He knew this girl's life was in danger. Follow me in here, Naruto said, giving her his orange jacket. Kin took and followed. Naruto grabbed her hands and led her to his apartment. Kin blushed as Naruto held her hand. Kind of warm. Okay, explain, Naruto said. He led the girl to his apartment and both were breathing hard, well she was more than him. Kin glared at the boy and realized who she was with. It's the annoying loudmouth of all people. Great. What? You asked for help and I helped you. Naruto retorted with anger. Yeah, Kin said, taking a seat on his couch. Nice place you got here, do you have something to eat? Yeah, but first tell me what's going on. Naruto said. Don't really feel like it. Kin said. Oh, I guess out you go, then. Kin's eyes widened when she heard those words. Why should I save an ungrateful person like you? You can't, I'll die. Kin said. When Naruto saw her face, he realized something. You're wearing a mask, Naruto said. Kin's eyes widened and she glared at the blonde but stopped when she saw the loneliness in his eyes. You too? Kin asked, receiving a nod from Naruto. Kin wasn't sure what to do. She could act normal and not like a tough girl trying to survive. She heard that Konoha was terrible but from Orochimaru. But if a terrible person says it, doesn't it mean Konoha is good? Kin never had a real friend and this could be a rare opportunity. Fine, can we start over? Yeah, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. Kin Tsuchi, do you mind me asking why you wear a mask? Kin said as she brought her legs to her chest. Naruto nodded and took a seat next to her. Well, ever since I could remember, I was hated by everyone in the village. I was attacked as a kid, overcharged for rotten food and was sabotaged in school. I try being nice to everyone but they just keep looking at me like a monster. So I started to prank everyone and I guess it made things slightly better. Some people started to look at me as an annoying kid but the majority of the villagers. Naruto then started crying. But when I started the academy, people tried to break into my apartment and purge the fox demon. Fox demon, Kin thought before she realized why everyone hates the blonde. You're a Jinchuriki, Kin whispered. And you're not afraid of me? Naruto asked. No, you're not like that Gaara guy. The snake shit made sure we knew about Jinchurikis and other shinobi matters. Don't worry, I'm not leaving my new friend. Kin said, but paused when she realized what she said. We're friends? Naruto asked. I mean sure, I mean you are an alright person and, Kin paused when she felt something grab her hand. She looked at Naruto and for the first time, she saw him smile with his eyes open. His real smile. No mask, Kin-chan. When it's the two of us. Naruto said. Kin was quiet and slowly nodded. Right, Naruto-kun. So what's your story? Naruto asked. Kin sighed and laid her head on Naruto's shoulder. Not much, I was an orphan and found by Orochimaru. He said he could make me strong but I realized that was a lie the moment I saw how small the Sound Village or lair was, I was doomed. Every kunoichi he made learned genjutsu unless they had a bloodline. When I met the two dipsticks, they started to abuse me because they were modified and assumed I was weak. That's when I decided to wear a tough girl mask. Naruto nodded. Did you have anyone? Well, my friend Tayuya. She is one of his elite nin but she despises everyone there. She looked out for me, from time to time. Wait, that's where I heard your last name from. You're from the Uzumaki clan. Kin said, making Naruto's eyes widened. I'm from a clan, but no one ever told me. Naruto said. It's weird, I could be wrong. You don't have red hair and I heard Uzumakis were born with high chakra reserves so big, they couldn't do the clone jutsu. Well, that's what Tayuya said. I can't do the clone jutsu because my reserves are high but I don't have red hair. I can tell. Kin said with a chuckle. Are you good with fuinjutsu or good with swords? Never bother to learn. Naruto said. Kin pulled out a book and handed it to the blonde. Well, I can ask Pervy Sage since he's good at it. Who? Kin asked. The kid means me and I got to say brat, you pick a good looking girl to bring to your place. The two teens turned to see Jiraiya with a big smile on his face. Naruto wanted to ask why he was here but there was something else. Jiraiya-sensei. Jiraiya was shocked when he heard this. I see you are showing me the respect I reserve. And you might keep it if you're honest with me. Naruto said, shaking in fear. Jiraiya was curious on what Naruto meant but waited. Am I part of the Uzumaki clan? Jiraiya gasped. He wanted to deny it, but looking how fragile the blonde was, he decided to come clean. Sigh, yes you are. You weren't supposed to find out until you made Chunin unless you figured it out. I see, and by you not telling him, Naruto-kun wouldn't have made Chunin and you could die with the secret, Kin deduce. Jiraiya looked at the girl with a confused look. What do you mean? Kin looked at the toad sage, matching his expression. Well, since you hid Naruto-kun's clan status, he couldn't learn his clan's fighting style. From what I learn, clans have a certain taijutsu style and sometimes, ninjutsu style that ties to them. By not telling Naruto-kun, you weakened him and sabotaged him by trying to train him like a civilian instead of a clan heir. Kin said. Jiraiya was quiet, thinking about what Kin said. He never thought of it like that and he was ashamed since Konoha had more clans than any villages. Well, that's the Hokage mistake and I'll let him know. But we should focus on how to train you. Naruto nodded. And how are you going to train me? Well, while we work on your chakra control, I was going to let you sign the toad contract and teach how to use the fox's chakra. Jiraiya said. Naruto was disappointed when he heard this, but he decided to put on a fake smile, which didn't go unnoticed by Kin. She slapped Naruto on the back of his head, startling the two. Naruto-kun, tell him how you feel. Don't hide how you feel anymore. Naruto looked at his new friend and back at Jiraiya, who was confused by the ordeal. Fine, pervy sage. You know what I think of your so-called training. I think it's stupid. Naruto said in anger. Why do I need to use the Kyuubi chakra to get stronger? Maybe you don't care because you're a Sannin pervy sage, but I'm trying to become a Chunin and the Kyuubi chakra is going to scare everyone, not help. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes at the blonde and folded his arms. The Yondaime made you the Jinchuriki so you can master its power. It'll increase your strength by leaps and bounds. Do you not understand? Did the Yondaime have the Kyuubi? No, yet he was considered the strongest Hokage. If he can become strong without the Kyuubi, then, can I. Naruto summoned chakra from body, knocking Jiraiya and Kin off their feet. I'm getting sick of all you Chunin and Jonin thinking you know everything, Kakashi thinking I need more control, Iruka thought I was a failure because I couldn't make a clone and you thinking I should rely on the fox. I know my weakness and strengthens. Naruto breathes in and out. I want to be like the fourth and using the Kyuubi is not how I should do it, that's his power. You're not ready for that level of training. I agree you need to work on your taijutsu, but you shouldn't worry about the other things when you have an infinite power source. Jiraiya said. What good is a power source if it's used by a nobody? Naruto said. It seems we're not getting nowhere. Since you don't want to listen to me, you can find someone else to train you. Jiraiya said before disappearing. Naruto was trembling with rage. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry. No, you were right. I need to do things the right way. Naruto said. I felt it. The two turned to the door and saw a red-haired girl with glasses barged into his apartment. She turned to the source and smiled. Are you Naruto Uzumaki? Yeah, who are you and why did you just barge into my apartment? Naruto asked, but was shocked when the girl glomped him in a hug. I can't believe I found another one. Another what? Hello? Kin asked. Another Uzumaki. The girl said. Allow me to introduce myself, my name is Karen Uzumaki. I am from the Uzumaki clan. I heard you announce your name and I had to find you. I'm not alone, Naruto said with relief. Hey, I'm happy for you too. But we need to find some way for Naruto-kun to get stronger to beat Neji. Kin said. Well, if you're an Uzumaki, that means there should be some scrolls somewhere in this village. I mean, our clan was secretive, but they wouldn't let family leave the village without some scrolls. There has to be some in the village. Karen said. She has a point. If they hid your family, there might be some scrolls in the village somewhere. Kin suggested. Naruto was about to respond, but he was pulled into his mind. Huh, why am I here? Because I called you here, brat. Naruto looked and saw a cage. As you know, I'm the Kyuubi and I believe I can help you. I admire what you said about using your own power instead of mine. Even though I can't stand you, you are still my host and you represent me. So, how are you going to help me? Naruto asked. I know who your parents are and where your heritage is. I will tell you where it is, but you have to promise to train till you break, until you sweat and bleed. I'll offer you my guidance, but that's all. Now leave before your mates worry. I'll tell you where it is, but make sure not to get caught. Naruto opened his eyes and saw the two girls staring at him. Are you okay, Naruto-kun? Karen asked. Yeah, I think I know where to go, Naruto said, earning a confused look from the girls. Where are we? Kin asked, standing in front of a huge house. Naruto gave the girls a warm smile, making them blush. This is Naruto-kun's real smile. All the time I've seen. This one feels warm. But why is he crying? His chakra is shining brighter than before. He's really happy. I like this feeling. Karen thought. Naruto looked at the girls, then back at the house. According to the fox, this is my parents' house, Naruto said, with a hint of excitement. Karen and Kin now understood. Naruto being an orphan and finally learning about his parents. Let's go in. The girls nod without a word and follow the blonde inside. When Naruto touched the doorknob, seals appeared around the house and registered the blonde before unlocking. When Kin and Karen walked onto the steps, seals appeared on their bodies, freezing them in place. What? I can't move, Karen said. Me either, Kin said. Kit, wipe your blood on the seals on their body and add some chakra. They're not registered to be here. They need your permission. Naruto nodded and bit his thumb before wiping it on the seals and adding some chakra. The seals on their body started to glow and wrapped around their wrist. I'm sorry about that, I had to register you to let you in, Naruto said, walking up to the girls and looking at the seal. A security seal, a blood seal and an anti-burial seal. Oh, there's also a lock seal, Naruto said. How did you know about that? Kin asked. I guess you didn't know. Uzumaki have a mentality bloodline that allows us to break down, store, create and combine seals. That's one of the few reasons we were feared. Naruto-kun, you never studied or looked at a seal before, that's why you never noticed. I see, let's go inside, Naruto suggested as the two girls followed him. Naruto looked around and noticed a picture framed on the wall. When he walked towards it, his eyes widened. My father is the fourth, Naruto muttered. Kin walked next to him in awe. You look just like him. How could your village not see it? They're clouded by fear, Karen said. They are blinded by their emotions and fear. Go down to the basement and look for a door that says Fuinjutsu. Naruto did as he was told and walked down the stairs. There were multiple doors in the basement with different labels: Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, Ninjutsu, weapons, element manipulation and Genjutsu. Kid, let me talk to your vixens and I'll explain why I brought you here. Naruto blushed but allowed it. Naruto closed his eyes and opened it. Greeting vixens, I'm the Kyuubi and before you scream, I'm here to help you train. Kin and Karen looked at each other and back at the possessed blonde. Okay, but why? Aren't you evil? Not necessarily. There were events that played into my attack on this village, but enough of that. I'm impressed that you were able to convince the kid to drop his mask and decided to help you out. My last host and her mate were stronger than the average shinobi. I've seen how they train and I'll teach you the same way they learned. I'm going to place resistance seals on your bodies to build up your strength and speed. Then I'll bring out your potential. Each door was created by the kid's father, and in those doors are endless books and fields to practice the purest form of training. Karen, since you and the kid are Uzumakis, you'll use clones and send them. Kin, how many shadow clones can you perform? About 5. Kin answered. Kyuubi Naruto nodded. Good. Now in the element manipulation room, there should be some chakra paper. I want you three to find out your affinities and we'll go from there. Naruto, make a clone and let me take over it. It'll be easier on you. Quote. The three nodded. Naruto created a clone and they went into the designated room. Naruto opens the drawer and there is paper in it. That's it. Naruto passed some to the girls and the three poured chakra into it. Naruto paper split, one side got soaked and the crinkled. Karen paper was soaked on one side and the other turned to dirt. Finally, Kin's paper split and was surprised at the result. I'm surprised, each of you has 2 elements and the kid has 3. Why is it important for us to learn our affinity? Kin asked. Because I'm going to train you 3 each in the purest form of martial arts before the world was tainted by ninjutsu and power. You might not realize but each affinity besides lightning is connected to a form of martial arts. Let's start with Kit, since your primary affinity is wind. The 2 types of martial arts that fit you are wind circle dance and shape-will fist. Wind circle uses a circle and light movement that requires you to be behind your opponent and disappear from sight like the wind and palm strikes and light first jabs. Like the Hyuga, Naruto said, thinking of Neji. Yes and no, the gentle fist mixes water, earth, wind and lightning into one style. The Cuba saw the confusion on the 3 faces. They use palm attacks like wind but not their fist, they guide their opponent like water. The finger strikes are like lightning and are designed to take down their opponent and earth to stay stationary. Although their style is strong, it's not pure. You 3 will learn the pure styles of your main affinity. Now, the second wind style, strong will fist. You attack like the wind, you force your opponent away from you and disrupt their movement as you move in a straight line while evading your opponent. Naruto, you'll work and learn to use these 2 styles as one, alongside manipulating the wind around your body. Kin, you'll do the same since the wind element is your main affinity. Karen, your affinity is water. So your style will be Tai Chi, Yin and Yang flux. Your style is flexible and you guide your opponent the way you want, while slipping through their offense and defense before striking. I told the Kit's mother about the stances, so the scrolls should be in the taijutsu room. Naruto and Kin, after you apply training seals on your body, I want you to blindfold yourself and try to use the wind as a guide. Kit, you are allowed to use your clones for help. For the taijutsu, you're on your own. And before I forget, talk to the old man about the 2 girls. You shouldn't hide them but you can keep your training a secret, the Kyuubi clone said before disappearing in a poof. Well, I guess we should start with seals. Karen, can you put some on Kin? Naruto asked. Why can't you do it? Kin asked. Because you have to be. Naruto said with a blush. The 2 girls looked at each other and at Naruto. I don't care. Both girls said at the same time. What? Why? Naruto asked, face turning red. I trust you and owe you my life. Kin said. If you were anyone else, I would kick your. As for me, I can sense the true nature of chakra and you feel warm. Plus since we are the last of our clan, we should revive it. Karen asked. Naruto was stuttering like a bug. What? He just passed out. The girls chuckled and pulled him into the fuinjutsu room. Hey Gigi, I have something to talk. Naruto stopped speaking when he saw a woman with auburn hair talking to the Hokage. Sorry, I didn't know I was interrupting something. It's fine Naruto-kun. This is the Mizukage and we were just discussing a treaty between our village. Sarutobi said. Naruto. Mei repeated, would you happen to be the son of Kushina? Mei asked, making Hiruzen panic. You knew my Ka-chan. Naruto asked. Hiruzen's eyes widened. Wait, you know who your mother is? The Hokage asked. Naruto turned to his leader and sighed. I'm not the idiot most people think I am. I just wore a mask. Kin here convinced me to take it off today. I can't tell him the fox told me who she is. All of a sudden, Mei started to leak killer intent. Why was I told my fiancé died? Mei asked, pulling out a scroll and handing it to the Hokage. Hiruzen opened it and looked confused. This is not my handwriting and this stamp is outdated. I have a feeling I know who's behind this. Hiruzen said, thinking of a certain warhawk. Anyway, Naruto-kun. Apparently your mother was friends with Mei's mother and signed a marriage contract. Mizukage-sama, why don't you introduce yourself? Mei nodded and walked to the blonde. Nice to meet you, Naruto-kun. I'm Mei Terumi. I'm the Mizukage. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Nice to meet you. Wait, why would you want to marry me? You don't even know me. Naruto asked. Mei smiled. Good question. I looked up to your mother and when my mother found out she was pregnant, the contract was from. I know that Uzumaki's value family and loyalty, that's something I respect. Plus, you're kinda cute but you should wear less orange. Naruto nodded. Wait, I have something to say. Karen said. And who are you? Hiruzen asked. I'm Karen Uzumaki and just like Naruto-kun, I'm part of the Uzumaki clan. Karen said, making both Kage's eyes widen. I also was hoping to get to know Naruto-kun and possibly restore our clan. But you just met, why do you want to marry him? Hiruzen asked. I'm a sensor but a special kind. I can feel the true nature of people's chakra and Naruto-kun's chakra feel warm, safe and positive. It's so bright, like it can light up the darkness. Naruto-kun has to be a great guy for his chakra to feel like that and since we're both the last of our clan, it's a great opportunity. Karen said. I'm also kind of interested in him, not to marry him right away but to probably date him. Kin admitted. Naruto saved my life from Sai Orochimaru. Hiruzen's eyes widened. You see, he's the leader of Oto and he was planning on sacrificing me. Naruto-kun hid me away and even though I attacked his teammates, he still forgave me. And before you ask, I don't know anything he's planning, I was basically cannon fodder. Hiruzen sighed. I see. Well Karen and Kin. I can offer you both citizenship here. Kin, you will be on probation for a month and I'll have my Anbu watch you. Karen, since you're from Kusa, I offer something to them for a trade. Don't bother, Orochimaru has some control there. I don't follow him but you shouldn't trust that village. Karen said. Hiruzen nodded. And you don't have to worry about Anbu following Kin. Mei said. I'll watch over her while I am here and get to know the two who's after my husband. Mei said. You three do realize that since Naruto-kun is the last of his clan he's allowed to marry more than one woman. Hiruzen said. All four of their eyes widened and they looked at each other. I guess we have to get to know each other. Karen said. Wait, don't I get a say? Naruto asked. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to his surrogate grandfather. If you refuse this, it could mess up the relationship between Kiri and Konoha. It'll be better for you to accept this. You can date more than one girl, so it shouldn't interfere with your love life. Just give it a chance. Naruto turned to Mei and the girls. Are you okay with this? Mei smiled. Thanks for the concern but if I wasn't okay with this, I would have never brought it up. Mei said. Just to let you know. I'm also the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. Naruto said, seeing how the cage will react. And, Mei replied, I'm not going to hate you for that. Mei said with a warm smile. Naruto returned the smile and thanked her. Naruto-kun, why don't you head out while these girls sign some paperwork? I'll send them out when they're done. Naruto nodded and left the tower. When Naruto walked out the tower, he saw Sakura walking towards the building. Sakura-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto, I found you. I was hoping you and Sasuke could hang out tomorrow and get a break before your fight in 2 months. Sakura said. I hate to break it to you but Hatake-san took Sasuke out of the village for 2 months to train him. Naruto said. I see. Wait, why did you call Kakashi-sensei by his last name? Sakura asked. Multiple reasons but I can spare some time tomorrow. We can hang out for a bit, where would you like to go? Naruto asked. Never mind Naruto. Just forget about it. Sakura said. What? But why? You just said you wanted us to hang out. Naruto asked. Just forget it, Naruto. Sakura said. Maybe next time. Naruto was about to drop it, but he remembered he wouldn't wear his mask. I bet by next time, you mean 2 months. Naruto said with a hint of anger. I said drop it, Baka. Sakura said, glaring at the blonde. No, Naruto responded, surprising the Pinkett. Why do we need Sasuke to hang out with us, for you to hang out with me? Aren't we friends? It's not about you. Sakura retorted. No, it's always about Sasuke. With you and Hataki-san, I try to be nice and be friends with you three, but I get shit in return. Naruto said. Drop or I'll pound you. Sakura threatened. Naruto scoffed at that. Fine, you get one chance. Tomorrow at noon, I'll be at Ichiraku's with some friends. I hope you are there. Or what? Sakura asked. Or we're done. Naruto said, shocking Sakura. If you're my friend, you'll show up. Whatever. Sakura said, walking away. Naruto shook his head in disappointment. Wow, that was intense. Naruto turned his head and saw Mei, Kin and Karen. He smiled when he saw the changed headbands on the two genin. Are you okay? Kin asked. Yeah, just now realizing a lot of things. Naruto said. Don't worry about that weakling, she's a shallow harpy. If she doesn't show up tomorrow, she will lose a good friend. Kin said, walking up to the blonde and putting a hand on his shoulder. Naruto nodded and turned to the girls. Well, it's getting late. I got some empty apartments in the building. You girls can stay there, and Mei-chan, I'm sure you have a hotel. I can walk. No need, I'll go with you. Like I said, we need to get to know each other. I heard you were in the finals. If you want, I can help train you. Mei offered. Naruto smiled and nodded. I appreciate it. The world is going to know the true Naruto. The next day. Naruto-kun, why are you eyes covered by your headband? Ayame asked. She was happy her favorite customer came to the stand since she hadn't seen him in a month. When she saw him walk into her stand with 3 girls she didn't recognize, Naruto and the black-haired girl were blindfolded by their headbands. The other weird thing was that Ayame can feel wine slowly circling around the two, on and off. We're doing a special kind of training. Naruto said, with Kin nodding. I see. Well, if you're okay. Ayame said, unsure. Excuse me. Karen said, getting Ayame's attention. Can I have another bowl of shrimp ramen? This is the food of Kami. Karen said. I knew someone would understand. Naruto said. Can I have another bowl of beef ramen? This is pretty good. Mei said, eating some vegetable ramen. Naruto was eating his next bowl but paused. Is she coming? Naruto asked. Karen knew who he was talking about and looked through the curtains. I'm afraid not. Fine, she had her chance. Naruto said, before returning to his other girls frowned. Naruto told them about his relationship with Team 7 and they were quite disappointed. The sensei favoring one student, the Uchiha only cares for himself, and the useless fangirl who only cares about her crush and wouldn't train. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, you have us in your tenant as well. We'll train you in the next couple months. Mei said. She then felt a tap on her shoulder and she turned around, saw what seemed to be a Chunin. Excuse me, ma'am, but what are you doing with these brats? Why don't you and I go share a drink? The man said. Sorry, you're not worth my time. Mei said before returning to her food. What? So you rather spend time with the demon? Watch what you say. Mei said. I'm the Mizukage and Naruto here as my guide. So if you're not careful, I'll melt your balls off. Mei said in a cold tone. The Chunin went pale now that he knew his woman was a cage. He took off, away from the stand. Thanks, Mei-chan. Naruto said. No problem, Naruto-kun. Mei said. Now I came up with a schedule for your training. After the first month of your wind manipulation, wind ninjutsu, fuinjutsu and taijutsu training. I would like to help with your water manipulation, alongside Karen. Mei said. Naruto agreed and the four got up and waved Ayame goodbye. Mei resisted the urge to laugh because the three genin was struggling to walk because of the weight seals and Naruto was slightly heavier since Kuruma told him he'll repair his muscles and reconstruct them. Naruto knew one thing, it was going to be a brutal 2 months. The group made it back to the Namikaze estate thanks to Mei body flickering them there. Mei took them to the lake behind the house and sat the three down. Okay Naruto-kun, what does the fox plan for that? I don't know. He wants me to learn Kenjutsu and some fire and wind jutsu. Naruto answered. I understand wind but why fire? Mei asked. Because his chakra is fire and when I use it, he believes I could develop an affinity towards it. He's not good with water ninjutsu. But that's okay since I have you in my parents' library. Naruto said. And how do you plan to learn all this in 2 months? Mei asked. Well apparently, with Kage Bunshin, I learn what they learn through chakra memory. Naruto said, making Mei's eyes wide. How many clones can you make? Mei asked. I made up to 500 before. He wants me to split each clone into a different category, while I work on my taijutsu and physical abilities. Naruto said. Well, in that case, I don't have to wait a month to train you. Karen, can you perform the jutsu? Mei asked the female Uzumaki. Yay, I can make 100. I use most of my chakra for medical ninjutsu. Karen answered. I can make 5. Kin said. Mei nodded. Okay, split a 1/5 of your clones for a group with wind manipulation, water manipulation, chakra building, chakra control and fuinjutsu. Next month, we'll replace the chakra control clones with ninjutsu. Hopefully Kin can build up some chakra to use more clones. Mei said. Hi, Mei sensei. The three said. Mei was shocked but smiled. Sensei. Huh, I never had students before. Kinda like it. Mei said. Kit, there are 2 jutsu I want you to learn this month. Kuruma said, earning Naruto's curiosity. A month later. Damn, why are you betraying us? Suna and Konoha are allies. Hayate asked, clutching his chest. It's nothing personal, it's for our village and we can't have you spilling information. This is goodbye, Baki said, preparing to end Hayate's life but out of nowhere, something flashed in between the two in a bright orange light then Hayate was gone. The Konoha Chunin exam finals are finally here. The stadium was packed and people were excited for the finals. Everyone made beats between each of the contestants. Between Naruto and Neji, Neji got 95% of the bets, while Naruto got some from Karen, Kin, Mei, Yugao and surprisingly Anko. Where is Sasuke-kun? Ino asked, looking at her crush. Every one of the participants was there except Dosu, Sasuke and Naruto. I hope he's okay. Sakura said in a depressed tone. The whole 2 months, she had not seen Sasuke at all and it was bringing down her mood. Ino picked up on this and rubbed her friend's back. It's okay, he still has enough time. Ino said. No one wants to miss him fight. Sakura nodded. Yeah, you're right, I know I am besides, we should cheer for Naruto. Ino said. Sakura's eyes widened but frowned when she remembered her last encounter. There's no way he meant what he said. Yeah, you're right, wait, that Baka isn't here either. It doesn't matter. Tenten said. There's no way he can beat Neji. Neji is a genius. Kurenai glared when she heard Neji's name. For what he did to her surrogate daughter. She was betting on Naruto and hoping the blonde humiliated him and trained hard enough to do it. Naruto, where are you, troublesome blonde? Shikamaru said to himself. It was not like Naruto to miss a match. He had faith Naruto would make it but he was wondering how he would do against Neji. It looks like the failure ran. Neji said. He wouldn't have stood a chance anyway. Gaara frowned since he couldn't find Sasuke or Naruto, especially after the event in the hospital room. The blonde seemed different but he would die nonetheless. Tamari was scanning the opponents and she wasn't afraid of anyone but Gaara, but the invasion would have begun when she matched up against him. Hiruzen looked at the Cage and smiled. I'm glad you could make it, Cage-sama. Hiruzen said. Thank Hokage Dono. The Cage looked over and was surprised to see Mei. And who is this? Mei smirked because she knew who the Cage really was. Pleased to meet you. My name is Mei Terumi and I'm the Mizukage. Orochimaru's eyes widened. He didn't expect the Mizukage to be here. But he doubts it could put a wrench in his plan. Likewise. Now the Chunin exam's final match will begin. Everyone except for Neji and Naruto please leave the arena. Other genins walked up to the balcony and Neji stood in the field. Naruto Uzumaki, please come to the field. I'm already here. A voice said and a tornado appeared, and when it dispersed, Naruto was there. He was wearing a white jacket with black stripes and black cargo pants with white lines going down and a black muscle shirt underneath. He wasn't wearing his headband on his head but around his neck. He went from 4.9 to 5.2 and his hair was spikier and had bangs on the side of his face. The most noticeable thing was the bandages around his eyes. I'm ready to begin, Genma-san. Naruto said, in a calm manner. Alright, what about you, Hyuga-san? Neji nodded. Genma nodded and raised his hand. You may begin. Genma jumped back. Neji narrowed his eyes at Naruto. What is the meaning of this? Naruto tilted his head in confusion. What do you mean? The bandages over your eyes? Are you perhaps injured? Neji asked. No, my eye works fine but thanks for the concern. Naruto responded. Then why are you blindfolded? Are you insulting me? Neji asked with anger. Not really, I only take these off if my opponent is worthy. Naruto said, trying to rile up Neji. Please, you're a clanless nobody and blinding yourself made you even weaker. You will not win this fight, fate already dictate me the winner. Neji said with confidence. You'll be wise to surrender. I know every move before you'll make it. You can see the future. Naruto asked. So know my next move. Naruto disappeared in a blur and appeared in front of Neji and lined his fingers up with Neji's chest. Then how come you couldn't see this coming? Naruto made a fist, channeling wind through it, and Neji was sent flying to the stadium wall and slammed into it. Over already? Hardly, that was just luck. Neji said, seething. Did you see how fast Naruto moved? Ino said with shock. I know, how did he do that? Sakura asked. I recognized that move. Asuma said. That was a flash step. Kurenai's eyes widened. But that move was created by. Kurenai turned the blonde in awe. The fourth. Excuse me Asuma-sensei, but what is the flash step? Sakura asked. Flash step is a variant of body flicker that the fourth Hokage made to use in battle. Body flicker allows the user to travel a long distance, but flash step is the opposite. It allows you to travel short distances and it is meant to evade or close distances in battle. There's just 3 requirements for this technique. 1. You have to have large chakra reserves to constantly use it. 2. You have to have close to perfect chakra control, and 3. You have to have wind and lightning affinity, since those 2 affinity revolve around speed, flexibility and control. Kurenai looked at the blonde with a curious gaze. I see, so if Naruto knows it, that means have all 3 requirements. I gotta say that's impressive. But how? Naruto always had poor chakra control out of our team. Sakura asked. It's called training. Everyone turned to the voice and saw Kin, Karen and Anko. Sakura and Ino's eyes widen when they land on Kin. What are you doing here? Kin sat down, with Karen following suit. I'm watching Naruto kick pale eyes. And thanks to him, I'm a Konoha nin. I'm sorry but there's no way Naruto can beat Neji. He's a genius and Naruto from what I heard is a dead last. Tenten said. After all, Neji is from the Hyuga clan. That may be true. Karen began. But Naruto is from the strongest clan. Karen said, confusing the genin but surprising the jonin, except for Anko. What are you talking about? Naruto is not from a clan. Sakura said. Oh my bad, I didn't introduce myself. Karen said. My name is Karen Uzumaki. From the Uzumaki clan of the land of eddies. The genin was shocked and turned to the senseis. How come we were never told about this? Ino asked Asuma. Because of Naruto-kun, Karen said. Apparently the Hokage kept it a secret from him to protect him. Our clan was strong and peaceful people, but we were also dangerous, or that's what the rest of the world thought. During the Second War, while Konoha was defending the village, Kumo, Iwa and Aim decided to destroy our village because of our knowledge in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu. I'm sad to say that Naruto-kun and I are the only ones left, but during the siege, our clan killed 80% of the enemy's forces. Asuma nodded. And because of that, Konoha won the war. Wow, that's amazing. Tenten said. Do you know any Kenjutsu? Tenten asked. Yeah, me and Naruto both do. Karen said. What? Naruto doesn't know any Kenjutsu. Sakura said. There was no way her Baka teammate could learn Kenjutsu. He was impatient and rash. She wouldn't believe it. Shut it, Pinky, and watch. If you're lucky, you might see it. Kin said. Wow. Gotta say. Foxy looks good. Anko commented. Kin and Karen looked at each other and smirked. Neji climbed out the wall and dusted himself off. He charged the blonde with low Chunin speed. Naruto smirked and crossed his arms forward with palms out. Neji thrust his palm at Naruto, but Naruto twirled around Neji, getting behind him and palmed his back, making the Hyuga stumble a bit. Naruto jumped back and created two seal-less clones. Neji turned around and smirked. You backed away and decided to hide behind your clones. It won't save you. Naruto didn't respond. Go. The two clones charged Neji. One of the clones jumped over the Hyuga. Neji thrust his palm towards the clone in front of him, but the clone twirled to the side. The one behind him went for a sweep kick, but Neji back-flipped and landed behind the clone and tried to jab the clone. The clone crouched, avoiding the attack, surprising the Hyuga. The other appeared at Neji's side and for palm thrust. Neji barely avoided the attack and jumped back. How are you and your clone able to avoid my attacks, while blindfolded? Neji asked. You must be a moron if you think I'll answer that. Naruto said. Fine, I'll force you to. Neji said as he charged the two clones. Neji attacks the first clone, but the other one pushes Neji's arm away. Neji glared at the clone and tripped it, then jabbed at it. The first clone palmed Neji on the side, causing his attack to miss. Enough. Neji pulled the first clone towards him and jabbed his chest, making it poof away. He turned to the second clone and palmed its chest, sending it backwards and destroying it. There. Those nuisances are gone. Wow, you took longer than I thought. Had a hard time? Naruto asked. Hardly. Those clones are as weak as you are. Neji retorted before charging the blonde, but the moment he reached the blonde, Naruto disappeared. Neji turned behind him and saw Naruto standing far from him. You're running away. Please, I'm aware how dangerous it is to face you. But don't worry, I got you covered. Naruto said before creating 4 clones. Go. Clones again. They didn't work before. Neji said, but was surprised when the 4 clones disappeared in a flash step. Instincts kicked and Neji ducked under a punch from a clone. He attacked the clone, but his arm was grabbed by another clone. A third appeared at Neji's side and punched his face, then the last clone appeared in front of Neji but didn't attack. Neji, thinking he had an opening, thrust his palm at the clone's chest, landing the hit. Boom! Was all the clone said before it exploded, destroying the other clones. Neji was sent flying back with burnt marks on his body. What was that? Sakura asked. Exploding clones jutsu. It's a type of clone that creates an explosion depending on how much chakra input you pour into it. And just like shadow clones, it can move. Karen answered. Where did he learn that? I have never seen that before. Sakura asked. Kin and Karen snorted at that, gaining the pinkett attention. What? Maybe if you didn't ditch him, You would have known. Kin said. I told him I didn't feel like it, Sakura said. Unless the Uchiha was there. You don't know this, but Naruto was hurt by it. He doesn't even consider you a friend. He told us what he said to you. You didn't show up. Kin said. That's not true. Me and Naruto are friends. Sakura said. Not in his eyes. He told us that you two are done. If you don't believe us, that's fine, but answer this. Why would we lie to you? Karen asked. Sakura didn't answer and turned to Naruto with a sad expression. Don't listen to them, forehead. Naruto will bounce back like he always does. Ino said. Doubt it. Karen, Kin and surprisingly Anko said. Everyone turned to Anko in shock. What? The hottie tore off his mask. I know the kid always keeps his promises. Is this all you can do? Make clones? Neji asked. Naruto tilted his head and smiled. Well, I was just trying to prove I had what it takes to make Chunin by learning your fighting, while forcing you to damage yourself. What do you mean? Neji asked. Well, most people don't know this, but when a shadow clone is destroyed, I learn what they learn, and not only that, they're as strong as the original. Naruto said, making Neji's eyes go wide. It doesn't matter, you're still a weakling. Neji retorted. Really? Maybe it's about time we got serious. Naruto said before rushing Neji, with swirls of wind around his arm. Rising storm. Naruto uppercutted and a tornado rises from the ground, sending Neji in the air. Naruto created two clones and tossed them in the air. Neji was twirling in the air as the clone reached his height in the sky. Uzumaki barrage. Neji kicked to the ground by the clones, creating a crater as he slammed into the dirt. Tamari was amazed at how strong Naruto had gotten, but what amazed her was the attack he just created. Months ago, he couldn't create a wind attack like that. It was as strong as my attack with 2 moons, but he did it without hand signs and with ease. To think this is the same brat who used to wear the orange jumpsuit. Gaara was watching the blonde closely. He's worthy. I will have your blood, Uzumaki, and neither you nor your demon will get in my way. Wow. When could Naruto do that? Ino asked out loud. That was impressive. To use a jutsu like that, I wonder if he could teach me. Asuma asked. This is still nothing. Karen said. Naruto is hiding so much more. Hiruzen smiled alongside Mei. Wow. He improved so much. I assume he used clones to train. Hiruzen asked Mei. Mei giggled. Yeah, it was one of his greatest tools. Well, that and his endless stamina. I can't wait until we're married. Hey sensei. Am I late? Jiraiya asked. You got here in time. Hiruzen said. Jiraiya sighs in relief and turns to Mei with a lecherous grin. And who do we have here? I'm Mei Terumi, the Mizukage, and if you keep staring at me like that, I'll have to melt your balls off. Mei said with a scary smile. Sorry. Anyway, how's the Gaki Wo? Is that the shrimp? He grew up. Jiraiya said in surprise. The Cage was shocked that Jiraiya alongside Mei was here. First the Mizukage, now Jiraiya. I miscalculated. He thought as Hiruzen told Jiraiya everything Naruto did to Neji. To say Jiraiya was speechless was an understatement. Wow, I'm impressed. The Gaki was actually working hard. Now that he got some significant training, I can train him my way. Jiraiya thought. He didn't notice Mei analyzing him with a small smile. Neji got up out of the crater as Naruto walked close to him. Give up. Neji glared at the blonde and smirked. You're a fool to defy fate and a bigger fool for getting within my range. 8 trigrams. 64 palms. Neji got into a stance and began to strike Naruto rapidly. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16, 32 palms, 64. Neji didn't finish because Naruto exploded, sending him back. You should have paid attention, Naruto said, standing next to 2 clones. When I hit you in the air, I made a clone and left it below. He walked forwards and you didn't notice it was me. It doesn't matter, I'm going to win. Neji said, struggling to stand. Naruto shook his head and chuckled. Why do you believe in fate so much? The Hyuga clan's heritage of hatred. What people don't know is that the main branch of the Hyuga clan practices a secret ninjutsu, the curse mark jutsu. So the Hyuga clan used fuinjutsu and branded it on the lower branch. Why? Naruto asked. The curse seal is like a cage bird, wanting to be free. By that mark, we are bound to a destiny we cannot escape. Neji took off his headband and revealed the mark on his head. I was branded with the mark when I was 4 years old, and on that same day, Kumo and Konoha signed a peace treaty and we celebrated. But it was a secret undercover mission. They tried to kidnap one of our clan's children to gain the Byakugan. That child was none other than Hinata-sama. When the Kumo nin got caught, he was put down by Hiashi-sama, but because we had no proof of the act, Kumo looked at it as treason and demanded an offering, or it would have been war. Instead of Hiashi-sama, he offered up his brother, my father, and he died that day because he was from the side branch. Because it was his duty, destined to serve the main branch, and that's why fate is absolute. We cannot escape it no matter how much we try or want to. The main branch can kill us at any time and use the fear to make us obey them, or we die. Naruto closed his eyes and shook in anger. I understand your hatred for seals. More than you know. Naruto lifts his shirt, showing his seal to Neji. You see this? I'm tasked with a burden as well, and because of this, I was hated by the whole entire village, even though my sacrifice was used the day I was born to keep them alive. What's that seal? Neji asked. Naruto chuckled and shook his head. You know what? I would usually be scared to tell you since I don't like being hated as much as I already am, but since I made some friends who know of my burden and accept me, I guess I can tell you. Naruto said, looking at Kin and Karen, then at Mei, who all started to blush. On the day I was born, the Kyuubi attacked the village and caused a mass amount of destruction. You can imagine the fear and sadness that was created that day. In order to stop it, the Yondaime had to seal it away since it was unkillable. Guess where he sealed it? The genin all gasped when they heard this. So is Naruto the Kyuubi? Sakura asked in fear. Hardly. Karen answered. The Yondaime used a S-rank Reaper Death Seal to seal the fox away. Naruto-kun has access to its power, but his mind is safe. How do you know that? Ino asked. 2 reasons. 1. My clan is an expert in sealing, and Naruto-kun's mother taught the Yondaime. And 2. If he really was a demon, he would have killed everyone who ever mistreated him. Karen said. She's correct. People underestimate the power of fuinjutsu, but those that were aware wiped out the Uzumaki clan. Out of fear. Anko said. I see. Too bad Naruto doesn't know any fuinjutsu. I would love to see such techniques. Tenten said. Oh, he does. Kin said, gaining the weapon expert attention. He knows a lot more than what he is showing. Are you saying he's still holding back? Ino yelled. What the village don't know was that if I ever died or commit suicide, the Kyuubi would be free. The civilians gasped in fear when they heard this. They beat me, sold me rotten groceries, ignored me, called me a monster, and sabotaged me in the academy. Even Iruka hated me for the first 2 years I was there. But I didn't give in, I kept trying to gain their acceptance. And that's what pissed me off about you, you gave up. You don't try to change things like Hinata. No, you took all your anger and hatred, and threw it at her. You said you were meant to protect her, but guess what? By trying to kill her, you were trying to change destiny. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the Hyuga and smiled. But I believe you can change it. You are a genius and got the drive. Help Hinata unite the clan and prove to them that you're worth a damn, because unlike me, you are not a failure. Neji was speechless and gave a smile. If you can win this match, I'll give you my word I'll change. Then I guess I better win. Naruto said before clapping his hands together. Here's one of my own creation, wind style, cyclone dance. 5 tornadoes formed from the sky and went toward the Hyuga. Rotation. Naruto started to spin in rapid speed as the tornadoes collided with his defense techniques. Can't hold, Neji said. He was still in pain from Naruto's earlier attacks. Soon he was overwhelmed and the 5 cyclones became one and he was in it, taking multiple cuts. Time to end this. Cyclone dive, Naruto said as the tornado shot in the air with Neji in it and dove to the ground, slamming Neji in the process. Neji coughed up blood and couldn't move. I guess I lose, Neji said, looking up to the sky. The winner of the first match. Naruto Uzumaki. The crowd cheered. Naruto turned to Mei, who winked at him. Hiruzen gave him a nod of approval and Jiraiya just smiled. Naruto walked up the stairs and was greeted, to his surprise, by Temari. That was an impressive match. I heard you say, you created those wind jutsu. Temari said. I gotta say, you looked good without the orange. Yeah, it was difficult but my taijutsu is based on my wind affinity. Maybe we can trade ideas sometimes. Naruto teased. Next match will be Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara of Suna. Naruto snapped out of his thoughts and looked towards the arena. Gaara stood in the middle, irritated. Naruto rubbed his temples and shook his head. Not happening, Naruto said. Temari looked at her fellow blonde in confusion. I'm not going to let him get away with this, Naruto said before using a wind shushin, shocking Temari. I got to ask him how he did that, Temari said. Naruto appeared in front of the cages and bow. Hey Gigi, Naruto said. Naruto, my boy, congrats on your match. It's rare to fight a Hyuga and come out unscathed. Hiruzen said. Yes, I was quite impressed, Mei said. Naruto smiled and approached the Mizukage and kissed the back of her hand. Mei blushed at the interaction. What a gentleman. Neko appeared and kneeled before the Hokage. Hokage SMA, it would seem that Sasuke is not here. Hiruzen rubbed his chin. This could cause problems. Why won't we postpone the match? A lot of people came to see Uchiha fight my son. It'll be a shame to disappoint them, the Kazekage said. I disagree, Mei said. This is not a tournament, this is the Chunin exams. The Genin was supposed to show us that they had what it takes to become a Chunin. If he can't arrive on time, he's not worth it. What do you think, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. I think he should be disqualified. It'll be seen as favoritism. They knew the time to be here and he decided to be late. Naruto said. If I may, I agree with the two. Neko said. You have to treat everyone as equal. No, I need Gaara to force Sasuke-kun to use the curse mark. But I came all this way to see the strength of the Uchiha, the Kazekage said. It's unfortunate but tell Genma that Sasuke Uchiha is now disqualified. Hiruzen ordered. Neko bowed and disappeared in a shushin. Naruto followed and disappeared to the stands. Hiruzen watched as Neko appeared next to Genma and whispered in his ear. Since Sasuke Uchiha has yet to arrive, he's now disqualified. What? They can't do that. Sasuke-kun needs to fight. Sakura said. PSSH, if he can't make it in time, he doesn't deserve to be here. Kin said. You're just mad because he beat you in the forest. Ino said. As if, I'm not petty like the two of you. I'm not going to waste my time waiting on the emo. Kin said. I agree, the duck butt shouldn't be allowed to continue because of his last name. Plus I'm interested in seeing what Blondie can do if he was holding back. Anko said. That last jutsu he used was awesome. I'll say, hopefully he'll give me some tips. Asuma said. There's no way that loser got this strong. Kiba said. Well, if he's a loser, that makes you dog shit. Anko said, making Kiba shut up in embarrassment. The next match will be between Shino Aburame and Kankuro of Suna. Genma called. I forfeit, Kankuro said, earning a lot of booing from the crowd. Damn assholes. Don't worry, I'll give them a show. Temari said, whipping out her fan. I'll look forward to it, Mari-chan. Temari turned to see Naruto, who was smiling at her. Show the world the strength of Asuna Kunoichi. Temari blushed and smirked. Just don't fall in love with me. Temari before throwing her fan. Or on second thought, do. Temari jumped on her fan and glided down, while winking at Naruto. Naruto walked towards Shikamaru when he heard him say he was about to give up. Naruto pushed him down into the arena. When Shikamaru landed on his back, he glared up at Naruto. Don't glare at me, your mom could be in the audience. Shikamaru sighed and rubbed his head. Troublesome blonde. Fine, let's get this over with. Shikamaru said. Naruto chuckled and smiled to himself. Time to show everyone that the legacy continues. Fight is canon. Asterisk. Next match. Naruto Uzumaki vs. Gaara of Suna. Gaara smirked sadistically and appeared in the arena in a swirl of sand. Where are you, Uzumaki? Mother needs your blood. Gaara said. Mei stood up and walked towards the edge and pulled out 3 tri-plonge kunai and threw them. Here he comes. Mei said, gaining the attention of everyone. The kunai land on the ground in a triangle shape. The older generation gasped when they saw the familiar kunai. In 3 orange flashes, Naruto appeared in the arena, wearing a white Hiyori with orange flame instead of red, wearing a gray vest underneath. Naruto Namikaze has arrived, he said, earning a gasp from the crowd. A lot of the females were blushing up a storm and eyeing him more than ever. Kin and Karen giggled a bit while retaining their blush. Now let's dance. Not only he's a wind user like me, he's a Jinchuriki like Gaara and a son of his village Yondaime. Well, every princess needs a prince and looks like I found mine. Temari said. The Gaki he's the son of the Yondaime, dang Kakashi up. Anko said. I wonder if I have a chance. Anko asked out loud. Kin chuckled. I put a word in for you. Kin said, gaining Anko's attention. Karen and I are already dating him and he needs to revive his mother clan. Who's his mother? Choji asked. Kushina Uzumaki. Karen answered. What? Kushina-sama is his mother. Damn, if I knew that. I would have put him on my team instead of Kiba. Kurenai said. Wow, forehead, I can't believe you have 2 amazing teammates. You know what? You can have Sasuke. Naruto is mine. Ino said. But. Hinata started. Don't worry, he's in the CRA. I'm sure he won't turn down 2 beautiful girls. Ino said. He will if we tell him no. Karen said. Naruto-kun is not going to hook up with just any girl. He doesn't want a fangirl or anyone who wants him for his status. And he told me how you treated him in the academy, Ino-san. At least he's not a pervert. Kurenai said. Naruto and Gaara were staring and smirking at each other. Uzumaki, mother wants your blood and she will have it. You will prove my existence. Naruto just chuckled. Listen, Gaara, that's not how this is going to go down. We will fight like monsters, throw fist here and there, but the end result of this. Naruto summoned his mother's katana and unsheathed it, pointing at Gaara. You will be beaten up to a pulp, cut up with bruises and bathing in your own blood, face to the ground beneath my feet. I'm so turned on. Anko said out loud, making everyone blush. Gaara started to radiate and his eyes turned yellow. Naruto matched it and took off his bandages, revealing eyes turned crimson. Genma was about to start when a swirl of leaves appeared between the 2 Jinchuriki, revealing Sasuke and Kakashi. Are we late? Kakashi asked with an eye smile. Yo. Kakashi said with an eye smiled. Sasuke stood behind him, smiling in a calm way. You, move out the way. Gaara said, irritably. Kakashi turned to Gaara and gave a nervous chuckle, not noticing Naruto. I'm sorry for keeping your match from Sasuke. Were we late? Kakashi asked, turning to Genma. You were and were disqualified for it. Genma said, surprising the 2 Sharingan users. Kakashi thought Sasuke being the last Uchiha, they would push back the match. What? I trained so hard. I need to fight. Sasuke said, angered at the fact he couldn't fight. You don't interest me anymore, Uchiha. Move before I kill you. Gaara said. You heard him. Move out of the way. Hitaki-san and take Uchiha-san with you. Kakashi and Sasuke turned to the voice and saw Naruto glaring at them coldly. Kakashi gasped when he saw what Naruto was wearing. It reminded him of his sensei. Dweeb, what are you doing here? This is my match, so leave before I make you. Sasuke threatened. You must be hard of hearing, you are disqualified. And get this through your skull, you are not the boss of me. Naruto said. Naruto, what are you doing here? Did you actually beat Neji? Kakashi asked. It's Uzumaki-san or Namikaze-san, to you. Now I have a fight to win. Naruto said. Kakashi was about to retort when he started to get booed by everyone. He grabbed Sasuke's shoulder and shushin away to the stand. Kakashi appeared in the stands next to his fellow Jonins. Can someone tell me what's going on? What exactly confused you, Kakashi? Kurenai asked. Why is Naruto fighting Gaara? Kakashi asked. Because the blonde hottie kicked pale eyes. Anko said. You weren't here, so let me fill you in. Foxy-kun appeared in the stadium with a tornado surrounding him, and after Neji tried to tell him about fate, Foxy spear punched him into the wall. After that, he used his clones to toy with the Hyuga and proceed to kick his, while using the clones to learn how Neji fights. After that, came more beatings and a super cool wind punch that sent the Hyuga into the air. Foxy then sent clones in the air and they axe kicked him into the ground. Neji got up and attacked Naruto thinking he caught him off guard, but he attacked an exploding clone. The ending was cool. Foxy summoned 4 tornadoes and they surrounded the Hyuga and engulfed him. Foxy then piled drive him with the tornado into the ground. And the best part, he did it blindfolded and didn't even get hit once. Anko said. What? He beat Neji without getting touched? Kakashi asked in disbelief. Yes, Kakashi, and according to the 2 girls here, Naruto was holding back. Asuma said. Kakashi looked ahead and saw Kin and Karen eyeing him. And who are you 2, if you don't mind me asking? Kakashi asked. I'm Kin Tsuchi. I would say nice to meet you, but that'll be a lie. Kin said. My name is Karen Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan. Karen introduced, surprising Kakashi. And I'm upset about how you abandoned my fellow Kin, but it doesn't matter now. How do you know Naruto was holding back against Neji? Kakashi asked. Because we trained with him. We seen what he could do and he has a lot more to show. Kin said. Enough talk, fight time. Anko said. Sasuke activated his Sharingan, preparing to copy any moves the blonde will use. Karen smiled when she saw Sasuke do this. They prepared for this and Sasuke was going to be pissed. Alright, are you 2 ready? Genma asked and the 2 nodded. Then you may begin. Gaara gourd pop opened and sand started to pour out. Naruto smirked at this and began to go through hand signs at a blind speed. Kit, since Gaara is Shukaku's chakra for his sand, use my chakra for the jutsu you're thinking about doing. Naruto nodded, summoning some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Uzumaki crying sky. Clouds started to cover the arena and it began to rain. Gaara seemed irritated and he sent some sand towards the blonde. Naruto smirked, noticing the difference in speed from Lee's fight, and began to dodge as he approached his fellow Jinchuriki. Gaara started to use his hand to increase the sand speed, but it wasn't much of an issue for Naruto. As the blonde got close to Gaara, he used a flash step toward Gaara and aligned his fingers to Gaara's chest. Wind spear. He made a fist and a burst of wind struck Gaara, sending him tumbling to the ground. Come on Gaara, I know that's not all you got. Gaara stood up and cracks appeared on his body, indicating he was wearing his sand armor. Gaara gave Naruto a sadistic grin. You are worthy, Namikaze. You'll prove my existence, Gaara said, as he began to send sand into the ground. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Kit, he creating new sand to use. His guard is down. Naruto went through hand signs with one hand, surprising the crowd. Water style. Water shockwave jutsu. Naruto created a swirling water vortex and sent it to Gaara. I don't think so, I will have your blood. Sand cyclone. Gaara created a sand cyclone and sent it to Naruto's, both clashing trying to push the other back. Naruto eventually won and sent Gaara into the wall of the stadium. Wow, I got to say I'm impressed. Kurenai said. I'll say, to create rain with your chakra is amazing. He used the rain to slow down Gaara's sand and for his water attack. Asuma added. He didn't create it, Karen said, gaining their attention. He summoned it, it was one of our clan's jutsu. We can summon pretty much anything as long as it is manageable. The hand signs were used to pull the clouds in the air together and heat it up enough. He formed it but the water was natural. Karen said. Wow, the Gaki is amazing. Anko said before looking at the Uchiha, who seemed pissed. What went up you asshole and got you in a bad mood? I know, Kin said. He's upset that he can't copy Naruto-kun's jutsu because he's using one-hand signs. He prepared for that just in case he fought you. Anko started to laugh, making Sakura mad. It's not funny. Naruto better be lucky that he's fighting that Gaara guy instead of Sasuke-kun. Sasuke-kun would stomp all over him. Yay right, I'll bet a month of dangos that the duck butt would get his handed to him, gourmet style and freshly served. Anko said, making Kin, Karen, Kiba and Kurenai laugh. By the way, who trained Naruto? Kakashi asked. I'm not telling you, Karen said. Me either, Kin said, but I'm his sensei, I need to know. Kakashi responded. That's not what I heard. Anko said, gaining the Cyclops' attention. He told me, you're not his sensei anymore when I was asked to help the girls train that past months. Anko said. Kakashi remembered his last encounter with the blonde and couldn't blame him for saying that, but he was hoping Naruto didn't mean what he said. But he was curious, the water jutsu Naruto just did was a jutsu from Kiri and he was the only one who knew it since he copied it from Zabuza. Do you need help, Gaara? Naruto taunted. Gaara climbed out the wall and glared at the blonde before smiling. Yes, this is what I wanted. You are strong and worthy in proving my existence. You're not the only one who can change the weather, sand shower. Gaara sent sand into the air and sand started to rain from the ground. Naruto was confused until he felt something on his feet. He looked down and saw his ankles being surrounded with sand. He channeled wind chakra into his and burst out the sand and ran up the stadium wall. Why do you run now? Are you scared? Hardly, Naruto said, giving Gaara a challenging smirk. You just gave me a reason to go all out. Seals start to appear around his body, shocking everyone. Kai. The seals was destroyed and Naruto chakra level flew through the sky as cracks of the wall appeared under his feet. What kind of seals are those? The Cage asked. I don't know, Jiraiya answered, ashamed. He was a seal master and he didn't recognize the seal on his godson's body. Hiruzen looked at Mei, who gave him a nod. Since when did Naruto have seals on his body and what are they? Kakashi asked. That's a resistance seal, Karen answered. One of Naruto's creations. He combined the chakra restriction seal and the weight seal conflux, putting it on his body causing him to hold back most of his strength. Wait, so he was wearing those when he fought Neji? Tenten asked. Wow, Naruto might win against Gaara. Choji said. I can't believe this, he was the dead last. Kiba said. Now he's the son of two heroes, the strongest genin here and super hottie. Anko said. We'll set up a date with you too. Kin said, gaining Anko's attention. I like you. You feel like a lost sister to me. Anko smiled and put her arms around Kin. Same here. Naruto unsheathed his mom's sword, which was onyx with a crimson edge and pointed towards Gaara. Let's go, Naruto yelled as he charged forward. Gaara summoned some sand and sent it forward towards Naruto. As they tried to grab Naruto, Naruto surrounded his sword with water and started to cut the sand like butter. You have to do better. Gaara got angry and sent sand in all directions, to surround the blonde. I've got you now. Severing stream dance. Naruto yelled as he cut through all the sand with slices of water and landed on the ground. He learned Kenjutsu as well. Kakashi said, flabbergasted. Flashback. Damn, why are you betraying us? Suna and Konoha are allies. Hayate asked, clutching his chest. It's nothing personal, it's for our village and we can't have you spilling information. This is goodbye, Baki said, preparing to end Hayate's life, but out of nowhere, something flashed in between the two in a bright orange light, then Hayate was gone. Naruto appeared at his house, looking down at Hayate. Damn it, what's going on? Naruto asked. Don't worry, I'll get you to a hospital. Naruto said, taking to the roof. He was lucky that he was blindfolded today since Kuruma said he still needs to be used to the sun. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to his side and saw Neko, jumping beside him. She was tasked into looking for some sound nins to get information on Orochimaru, and she spotted the blonde. What are you? Hayate-kun. What happened? He was attacked by a sand nin, I don't know why. Naruto answered. I saved him before he was killed, but I need to get to the hospital. Neko nodded and grabbed the blonde's shoulder and disappeared in a blur. Few minutes later, Hayate was in a medical room as Naruto sat in a seat in the hallway. Yugao walked out the room, mask off, and she approached the blonde. He's alive, was all she said before hugging Naruto. I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You saved my fiancé. I'm glad he's alright, and I'm sure you would have done the same. Naruto said. If there's anything I can do to repay you, just name it. Yugao said. Naruto was about to refuse until he saw Yugao's sword. Do you know Kenjutsu? Naruto asked, receiving a nod from the purple-haired girl. Do you think you can teach me and a couple of my friends? Flashback ends. Karen and Kin were happy that Naruto found someone who could teach them Kenjutsu to increase their arsenal, and seeing Naruto in action made them swell in pride. I don't get it, how did the dweeb get so strong? Sasuke asked. Kin scoffed at this. He wasn't ever weak, all his teachers were failures. Kin said with venom. Kakashi felt a sting at her word, but the girl continued. Plus, now that he took off his mask, he's done trying to make people happy at his own expense. What mask? Sakura asked. She's talking about an emotional mask, you brat. He used to wear a mask to hide his pain and put on a fake smile no matter the situation. Who was so afraid of being alone that he put up with every bullshit people spout his way? But now that he found people who understood him, he decided to show the world the real him. Anko said, smiling at the blonde. Are you telling me that every time he acted like an idiot and did something stupid, he was faking it? Ino said. He did it for attention because he wanted to be thought of as an annoying kid instead of a monster. But that Naruto is gone. Kin said. And how do you know that, girly? Kiba asked, but ducked down a bit when he received a glare from the former Oto nin. Because I used to wear a similar mask. Kin said. Same here. I understand how it feels like to be hated for something you never asked for. Anko said, reaching behind her neck. Still, that sword is amazing. Where did he get it? Tenten asked with stars in her eyes. It was his mother's. Karen said. He is using it to show he has an affinity to Kenjutsu since he hasn't completed the training. I see. He proved he could use ninjutsu, taijutsu, kenjutsu, fuinjutsu and manipulate the elements. With that type of arsenal, it'll be hard to ignore him for a promotion. Asuma said. He is so youthful, Lee. When you are healed, we train till dawn. Hi-Guy Sensei, I will not let my flame die and follow Naruto youthful example. Tenten shook her head in embarrassment. You know it's funny. Anko started. If Hatake started to train the Gaki like this early, he would have been even stronger. He wasn't ready for that kind of training. Kakashi said. Really? Because from what I'm seeing, it seems you are kissing the Uchiha. Anko said, receiving a glare from Sasuke. Anko noticed and returned the glare with some ki. Don't look at me like that, you emo. I'm not one of your fans and I will turn you to snake food if you don't turn your head. Anko threatens, causing Sasuke to look forward. Hatake, you up. Whoever trained Naruto did something you couldn't do in 6 months. Well, whoever trained him should thank me. I prepared him for this. Kakashi said. Please, I heard of your training. Kin scoffed. All you did was teach him tree climbing and team exercises. Kakashi started to sweat as all the Jonin glared at him. Kakashi, did you not put any effort into Naruto-kun and Sakura-san? Kurenai asked. He was too busy training Sasuke-kun. Sakura defended. Sasuke needs to be strong to avenge his family. Yeah, besides, the dweeb is useless. A clanless nobody. Sasuke said. Sasuke-san. You weren't here, but it turns out Naruto-kun is the son of the 4th and Kushina Uzumaki of the Uzumaki clan. Hinata said. Sasuke's eyes widened when he heard this. Impossible. I don't believe that. Sasuke said. It doesn't matter if you believe it because it's fact. To claim something like that, you'll need evidence and proof. If the Hokage is allowing it, that means Naruto-kun has proof. Karen said. And don't worry, Hatake-san. When the exam is over, Naruto-kun said he was going to quit the team. So you can train the all you want. Kin said. What? Why would he quit our team? Sakura asked. Let's see. There's the emo, who only cares about himself. There's you, who only cares for the emo, and the Banshee, who only favors the emo. Since Naruto-kun doesn't like the emo, he doesn't belong on a emo-loving team. Plus, from what I learn, none of you ever took interest in Naruto-kun, so why should he be held back because you don't want to train him? Don't worry, Sakura, I'll talk to the Hokage later. Kakashi said. Yeah, I wonder who he's going to listen to. His subordinate or his grandson? Anko asked. Kakashi began to worry. He knew he had to convince Naruto to not open his mouth, but it seemed his blonde student didn't hold him in high regards. How did the Gaki get this good? Jiraiya asked. It seems he found a good teacher who saw his value. Mei said. That it seems. I hope he has more to show us. Hiruzen said. Orochimaru just watched the fight, sweating. How did this nobody improve this much in 2 months? Naruto sheathed his sword and sealed it back into his palm and landed in front of the Sand Jinchuriki. Uzumaki lightning pillar. 4 metal pillars appeared around Gaara, confusing the redhead. Lightning shot out the pillars and began to electrocute Gaara. Ugh! It hurts, mother. Gaara yelled. Make it stop. Sand rushed the pillars and circles around them, blocking the lightning. Gaara squeezed his hand and crushed them, causing them to poof away. Gaara started to get aggressive and sent Sand trying to grab the blonde. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto made up to 10 clones and they all charged Gaara. Gaara created a sand tornado around him, dispelling the clones, and kept trying to grab the blonde. Naruto found his ankle covered in sand. Damn it. Naruto pulled out his tri-pronged kunai and threw it at Gaara before he was covered. Now it's over, Sand Coffin. Gaara said as the kunai went past his head. Sand Burial. Gaara squeezed his hand, but to his surprise there was no blood. An orange flash appeared behind, and as he turned around, he saw Naruto with a Rasengan. Naruto slammed his jutsu on his back, slamming Gaara in the ground. He knows the Hiraishin? Kakashi asked, flabbergasted. Yeah, it didn't take that long to learn it. His dad left notes, and him being an Uzumaki, plus learning from shadow clones was very beneficial. Karen said. What is that jutsu, Kakashi? Sasuke asked in anger. It's the jutsu that gave the 4th the title Yellow Flash. It's the same one he used to wipe out an army in the 3rd Great Ninja War. Kakashi said. I'll get the council to tell him to teach it to me. Sasuke said. Won't work. Karen said, gaining the Uchiha's attention. Naruto-kun has it listed as a clan jutsu, so your council has no interference in it. Sasuke seethed at this. Naruto was getting stronger and he couldn't gain that power. You should see your face. Kin started. Yeah, you look like a baby. Anko added, both of them laughing. Mother, I need your help. Naruto narrowed his eyes and jumped back when sand started to surround Gaara like a cocoon. Kit, he's beginning the ritual to summon Shukaku. Stop him before he completes the jutsu. Naruto nodded and created a clone. Both of them ran toward the sphere, avoiding sand as they got closer. Rasengan. Water style. Water trumpant. Naruto created a Rasengan as his clone formed water in his palm. They both combined the jutsu and struck the dome of sand, creating a huge water explosion. Gaara was sent flying out the sand and slammed into the wall. The clone dispersed, leaving an exhausted Naruto. Naruto noticed that Gaara was exhausted and approached him with seals appearing on his fingertips. From the top, Orochimaru recognized the jutsu and gave the signal to start the invasion. Temari and Kankuro jumped in front of Gaara to intercept the blonde. Naruto chuckled. I guess I won't be getting a date with you anytime soon. Naruto said in sadness. I'm sorry, but I have to fight for my village. If it's any constellation, I don't want to do this. Temari said with guilt. She started to like the blonde, but now she was put in this kind of situation. I understand, you're loyal to your village, you earn my respect. Naruto said, making Temari smile. Baki jumped down and narrowed his eyes at Naruto. Kankuro, Temari, take Gaara away. He's the key to everything. Both genin nodded and left through the trees. Yugao appeared next to Naruto in her Anbu uniform. Naruto-sama, it's time. Hokage orders you to protect the stadium and take charge. Think of this as your first mission, a special Jonin. Special Jonin, huh? I'm shocked. Naruto said. The Mizukage and Hokage vouched for you. Now go help your friends. Yugao said. Naruto turned to the audience and saw multiple sounds and sand shinobi approaching. He whipped out 3 tri-pronged and tossed them to the enemy. Kunai Shadow Clone Jutsu. The 3 kunai multiplied into 10 and Naruto used the Hiraishin and killed the Oto Nin and knocked out the Suna Nin. Kin, Karen, release your seal. Hi. Kin and Karen released the resistance seal and jumped next to Naruto. Sakura and Ino realized that Kin had forgotten her old outfit. She was wearing a black sleeveless vest and a black skirt. Karen was wearing a green long sleeve and black shorts with mesh stockings. Sasuke, go after Gaara and take him down. Kakashi ordered. Sasuke gave an arrogant smirk and proceeded to chase after Gaara. Naruto, I want. Kanit, Hitaki. Kakashi turned to Anko, who was glaring at him. Foxy got his orders from Hokage. He's prepared. What? The Hokage? Kakashi responded. Naruto smiled and nodded. Alright, Karen-chan, Kurenai-san and Hinata. I want you 3 to head to the hospital and protect all the people that's there. Naruto ordered with authority. The 3 nodded and left for the hospital. Choji, you, Tenten, Asuma-san and Ino go and protect the academy. The 4 left for the academy. Kin-chan, Anko-chan and Neko-chan. Head to the cages and help. Kin, see if you can change your friend's mind, then help defend the village. I will. Kin said before heading to the tower with Anko and Neko. Shino, Shikamaru and Sakura. We're going after Gaara and Sasuke. Shino, you'll take out Kankuro. Shikamaru, you'll take out Temari and Sakura, you'll bring Sasuke back here. Naruto said. Naruto, wait, Kakashi said but shivered when he saw a glare from his student. No, you sent an unprepared genin with a huge ego to fight a Jinchuriki. I already prepared many countermeasures to beat Gaara, but because of you, Sasuke might die. Naruto said in a cold tone. Naruto turned to his team and nodded. Let's go. Alright, Sakura said. She wasn't sure what happened to Naruto in the past 2 months, but she knew one thing, he changed. Naruto led the group to follow Sasuke and to stop Gaara. Sakura was very uncomfortable with her situation. She and Naruto had split off from Shino and Shikamaru since Shino was fighting the puppet user and Shikamaru volunteered to stay back when Naruto picked up on several nin following them, but that wasn't what made her uncomfortable, it was being alone with Naruto. He hadn't said a word to her at all and she was still thinking about the words Kin said. Naruto. Yes, Sakura-san. Naruto replied, not even bothering to look at her. Are you mad at me? Sakura asked, hiding her shock when Naruto added san instead of chan. No, I'm not in fact. Naruto responded. Why do you ask? It's just, you don't act like you used to and I'm not sure how to feel. Sakura said as the two jumped through the trees. Get used to it, Naruto said, making Sakura look at him. I told you before that if you didn't show up, what will happen and you choose. And I have always been like this, I just hid my true feelings behind an idiot mask and acted like someone I wasn't to make friends, but after meeting Kin and Karen, I realized there were people who accepted me. To be honest, I always thought our team was terrible. Naruto said, causing Sakura to flinch. We were uncoordinated, Sasuke was selfish, you couldn't see anything past him, and Kakashi was not only lazy, he trained Sasuke more. He knew my dream was to be Hokage and he didn't bother to help me. He knew you needed more work with your dieting and physical strengths, but he didn't do anything. When I asked for more training, he said I wasn't ready. When I asked to hang out with you three, Sasuke would leave us alone, you would say no and hit me, and Kakashi would just disappear. So I decided not to act like a pushover anymore thanks to Kin-chan and Karen-chan. Also, it made me happier that Anko-chan decided to help me during the 2 months. Naruto, I'm sorry. Sakura said. You have nothing to apologize for, you opened my eyes and showed me how important I was. Naruto said before his eyes widened and he sped forward and threw one of his kunai ahead and disappeared. Naruto. Sakura said and saw a flash of orange in front of him. Few minutes before, Sasuke hated to admit it, but he was having a hard time against Gaara and out of chakra. He used 3 Chidoris and only did minor damage. Not only that, but his curse mark was acting up. Gaara was standing across from him, looking like a hybrid of Shukaku with his left side transformed. What's the matter, Sasuke Uchiha? Is this all the strength you can muster? Naruto Namikaze did way better than this. Sasuke gritted his teeth at the remark. The dweeb is nothing like me. I know, he's much stronger. And now I'm done with the appetizer. Now die, Gaara said, charging the Uchiha. There's got to be something I can do. Sasuke thought, looking around until his eyes landed on Temari, making him smirk. She'll do, Sasuke thought while building up the last of his chakra. Temari was terrified, looking at her brother. She wished there was something she could do, but she wasn't stronger than Gaara, but she still believed her little brother was inside there. She was knocked out of her train of thoughts when she found herself in front of her brother. The Uchiha switched places with me. Temari thought before she panicked as Gaara closed in on her. The Uchiha ran, but you'll do, Gaara said, preparing to kill his sister. Right as he was about to end her, a familiar kunai appeared in front of him, and in an orange flash, Naruto appeared and kicked him in the face, away from the Suna Kunoichi. Naruto landed next to Temari and picked her up bridal style and jumped back a few branches. Are you okay, Mari-chan? Naruto said with a concerned look. Temari wrapped her arms around Naruto and hugged him. Thank you for saving my life. Naruto, Sakura called, landing next to the blonde. Why did you save her? Her village is attacking ours, you should have let her die. Naruto turned to Sakura with crimson red eyes, scaring the pinkett. Shut it, if you were paying attention. You would have seen Orochi Tem taking off the cage robe and face. Plus I sensed him there the whole time, he most likely tricked Suna. This war is pointless, and if I save Mari and the other Suna nin, we can re-establish our relationship. And last, I will not let her or anyone die if I can prevent it. Tamari was touched by this and also shocked to hear Orochimaru taking her father's place. If he was telling the truth, that means her father was most likely dead. That explains why he's been joyful. He's never like that. Now Sakura-san, get Sasuke out of here. Naruto ordered, making Sakura flinch and jumping to her teammate. Naruto turned to Tamari with a softer look on his face. Mari-chan, stay away from those two. I'll stop Gaara and make him see the light. You'll have your brother back, I promise. Naruto said, taking off his haori and handing it to Tamari, revealing his thin gray vest and a short-sleeved black shirt underneath. Hold this for me and give it back when I complete my promise. Namikaze. I was waiting for you. Gaara said as he transformed to look more like Shukaku. Now make me feel alive and prove my existence. Kuruma, may I use some of your chakra since I haven't recovered mine yet? Naruto asked his partner. Sure Kit, show them what happens when you piss off a fox. Kuruma said as he filled Naruto with chakra. Naruto's teeth got sharper and red chakra started to surround him. Tamari, Sasuke and Sakura felt this and got a little terrified. Naruto turned to Tamari and gave her a warm smile. Don't worry, I'm still me. Naruto said to the Sunanin. Yeah, Tamari replied with a small smile. Naruto turned to his teammates and nodded. Sakura wanted to yell at the blonde for treating their enemy better than them, but now wasn't the time. Remember when I said we were going to fight like monsters? Naruto asked Gaara, which made him smirk sadistically. Let's begin the monster brawl. Naruto charged Gaara at blinding speed, but Gaara was able to react. He thrust his sand arm forward at the blonde. Naruto created an explosion clone and jumped off its back, making it receive the attack. When Gaara's arm hit the clone, it exploded, blowing off part of Gaara's sand arm, and it was stronger since it was enhanced by the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto landed on the branch in front of Gaara, cocking his back. Rising storm. Naruto uppercutted Gaara with a swirl of wind around his arm, causing the sand Jinchuriki to fly into the sky in a tornado. Naruto created a clone and the clone threw Naruto at Gaara. Gaara recollected himself and smacked Naruto with his tail, sending him back. Gaara landed across from Naruto, laughing maniacally. Interesting, very interesting. You are indeed worthy, yes. Let's keep going. Sand devastation. Gaara sent out a blast of sand from his mouth at the blonde Jinchuriki. Water style. Water wall. Naruto shot out a wall of water from his mouth, meeting her Gaara's attack head-on. I'm not done. Sand shuriken. Gaara produces sand shurikens from his body, hitting the blonde. Naruto was sent back but collected himself. Is that all you have to offer? Not even close. Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto created 100 clones which were enhanced by the Kyuubi's chakra. They all ran towards Gaara and began to pound him endlessly. Is this really Naruto? Sakura said as she and Sasuke watched the fight. He's really doing it. He's beating Gaara and matching him blow for blow. Tamari said. How did he get so strong? I couldn't even get close to Gaara, but Naruto is fighting him as an equal. Sasuke thought to himself. Naruto and his clones jumped back from Gaara, each going through hand signs. Water style. Water bullet. Wind style. Wind bullet. Gaara covered himself with his arms and tried to block the onslaught of wind and water jutsu. No, I will not lose. I will not cease to exist. No. Gaara thought as a huge sand arm erupted from his body and a huge puff of smoke appeared, then out of it was Shukaku's true form. Ha ha ha. Now what will you do? I have one option, Naruto said, biting his thumb. Kin, Anko and Neko were heading to the tower while fighting through some sound and sand nins. This is the first time I do not want to see snakes. Anko said, looking at 5 snakes, blocking their way. We still have to get by. Neko said, cutting down another sound nin. I got this. Kin said, biting her thumb. You have a summon? Anko asked, wondering what summon the girl had. Damn it. Karen said, dodging a kunai from a sand nin, while holding a katana. She was standing outside Konoha's hospital, facing 4 sound nin. Why can't you guys just die? Karen said, surrounding her sword with water. Severing stream dance. Karen dashed through the enemy shinobi, cutting their head off. Leave it to Orochi, to rely on numbers instead of strength. Karen thought before she felt vibration coming from underground. She backflips as a 3-headed snake appears where she stood. So annoying. Karen thought as she bit her thumb. Flashback. You want us to do what? Kin asked the Kuruma clone. Naruto made a clone and had Kuruma possessed. I want you to perform the summoning jutsu. Kuruma said, folding his arms. But why? Don't we need to sign a contract to summon something? Naruto asked. Not necessarily. How do you think people obtain summon contracts? They perform the summoning jutsu and are pulled into the creature's realm. By performing the jutsu, you'll attain a summon that is close to you. It'll be a pure relationship. Perform the jutsu and pour as much chakra as you can into it. The 3 did as instructed and performed the technique. Flashback end. Summoning jutsu. In a blast of smoke, fire shot at the 3-headed snake, burning them to death. When the smoke cleared, Karen was standing on something no one thought they'd see again. Kurenai ran out of the hospital as it was cleared to assist Karen. Karen-san, are you is that a salamander? Kurenai said, staring at the huge summon. Karen was standing on a crimson salamander that was the size of a boss summon. Karen turned to Kurenai and smiled. Yep. Now it's time to take out the trash. Let's go, Tanya. Karen said, eating a chakra pill. Hi, my lady. The reptile replied, shooting out lava at the enemy summon. The snake hissed in pain as they were burnt alive. Karen pulled out a broadsword and started to demolish some Odo nin. Tanya, make sure no Odo or sand nins get in. Karen ordered. Summoning jutsu. Kin yelled as an explosion of smoke surrounded the area. Something flew out the smoke and into the sky with Kin, Anko and Neko. This is so awesome. Anko yelled in excitement. I'll say, I've never seen an owl summon before. Neko commented in awe. They were riding on a pure white owl. Mistress Kin, how may I assist? The owl asked. Kill any snake you see on the way to the Tower Luna. Kin ordered. Yes, mistress. Freezing feather arrows. Luna shot feathers made of ice and froze the snake instantly. Kin pulled out a sword she got from the owl clan. The katana had a body shaped like a feather and a guard shaped like an owl face. Are you ready, Anko ne? Kin said, as she jumped off the owl and started to cut down Odo nins as she made her way to the tower. Summoning jutsu. Naruto placed his hand on the tree and the whole area was covered in a puff of smoke. Ra. A creature sent out a roaring shockwave, revealing an white tiger with black stripes. The tiger looked around and looked up to Naruto. Naruto-sama, why am I here? Look ahead and see for yourself, Kira. The tiger looked ahead and her eyes widened. You summoned me to fight a Biju. You really are exciting, Kira said. I know, let's go wild. Naruto said as Kira charged the sand demon. Roaring shockwave. Kira sent out a roaring blast and hit Shukaku's body. You will not win. Gaara yelled and went through some hand signs. Soon he went to sleep and Shukaku's eyes started to glow. Yeah, I'm free. It's time to kill. Not going to happen, I'm going to end this. Kira charged Shukaku and leapt in the air with her claws extended. Just die. Sand devastation. Shukaku inhaled some air before releasing a sand stream towards the tiger. Lightning roar. The tiger shot a lightning stream at the sand attack, both attacks meeting and creating an explosion. The tiger landed in front of the Biju and stabbed his claws into its skin. Naruto, jump onto him and wake up the host. One good hit should do it. Naruto jumped on Shukaku's head and charged Gaara. Once he was face to face with his fellow Jinchuriki, he punched Gaara in the face. No, great, I just got here, Shukaku said before his head turned blank. Gaara slowly opened his eyes and looked at Naruto. Damn you, Uzumaki. You will die. I don't think so. Naruto yelled back as chains erupted from his body and wrapped around Shukaku's body. Ugh, what are you doing? Gaara yelled at the blonde. He couldn't feel Shukaku's chakra and he was losing chakra. Stopping you, Naruto said as he punched Gaara again, causing Shukaku's body to crumble. Naruto grabbed Gaara and landed on the forest ground. No, please don't kill me. Gaara pleaded. I don't want to cease to exist. I won't. Naruto chuckled and laid Gaara on the ground, then he sat against a tree trunk. It's sad, isn't it? Being alone and people seeing us as monsters. Judging us for something we never asked for, hated and glared at. So you do understand, but how come you are not like me? Gaara asked. I'm not sure. Naruto said. Maybe because I found people who care about me, even though I'm a Jinchuriki. Naruto said, thinking of Kin, Mei and Karen. They accepted the real me and I'm willing to protect them at any cost, even if I have to kill you, but hopefully we can be friends instead. You're willing to be my friend? Gaara asked. Of course, I think you're the only person who can understand me the most and think of it as a new start. Naruto responded. Is that why you are so strong? Because you fight for those you love? Gaara asked. Naruto smiled and nodded. Friends, all like that. Gaara. Temari called as she and Kankuro landed near them, preparing for a fight. The two knew they couldn't defeat Naruto and Temari didn't want to fight the blonde if she could avoid it. Go ahead and take him. Naruto said, surprising the two. You were tricked by Orochimaru into doing this. Go and be safe. Do what he says, this fight is over. Gaara said. Kankuro and Temari looked at each before grabbing Gaara. Gaara turned to Naruto and gave him a small smile, shocking his siblings. Thank you, my friend. What? Temari said before looking at Naruto. Kankuro, take Gaara and go ahead. Kankuro was about to respond, but the glare from his sister told him to leave. Kankuro left the area and headed to Suna. Temari approached Naruto and hugged him. Thanks for not killing my little brother. Naruto blushed and returned the hug. No problem, Temari-chan. Temari pulled and it looked like she was contemplating something. Temari pecked him on the lips, making him blush. Temari backed away and winked at her fellow blonde. I'll see you later, Naruto-kun. Temari said before jumping away. Naruto touched his lips and smiled. Naruto. Naruto looked up and saw his teammates staring down at him. Why did she kiss you? Sakura asked. It's called being grateful, Naruto said and turned to walk away. How did you do all that? Sasuke asked. He never felt so inferior to the blonde before and he needed answers. Naruto stops and pops his neck and cracks his knuckles. None of your business, Uchiha-san. Now you and Sakura head back to the village. I got to save the old man. Naruto. Wait, Sakura didn't get to finish because Naruto disappeared in an orange flash. Sakura frowned in sadness. Naruto really doesn't care about us. No, he's just stressed by Hokage-sama. Water style. Water dragon jutsu. Mei and Tobirama released the same jutsu at each other, creating multiple droplets of water. Jiraiya, switch with me. Mei said as she saw Jiraiya in the forest that Hashirama created. Got it. Jiraiya jumped out of the trees as wood dragons chased after him. Mei put her hands together as her cheeks puffed. Lava style. Acidic mud. Mei shot gold lava at the dragons. Hashirama jumped out of the forest and charged the Mizukage. Mei ran forward and engaged Hashirama in a taijutsu battle. What's going on? The first and second Hokage should be much stronger than this. Orochimaru complained as he dodged Hiruzen's staff. You should learn more about a jutsu before being cast. The reanimation is only as strong as its caster. Hiruzen said as he tried to attack Orochimaru. Jiraiya is better at taijutsu than you. Mei has 2 bloodlines and I'm your sensei. You're not going to win. You and this worthless village will fall, old man. Orochimaru threatened. Outside the barrier, Tayuya was glaring at the Anbu that tried to get in. Stop trying, you pricks, you can't get in. Now die for killing my best friend alongside this village. Tayuya said. Kabuto informed her that Konoha captured Kin and ended up disposing of her. She wasn't sure she believed the liar, but she hadn't seen her friend since she arrived. Wow, Tayuya, I can't believe you would actually believe that scumbag. Kin said, jumping down and landing in front of the Anbu. Do I look dead to you? Kin, where the hell have you been? Tayuya asked her friend in anger. Well, here's the gist. Orochimaru sent his grunts to capture me to be sacrificed for a jutsu. I ran into another Uzumaki, yes, there's 2 more here, and he saved me. He also convinced the Hokage to make me a Konoha nin and offered you sanctuary as well. Kin said. You can't be serious. Tayuya said. I am. Kin said, looking behind Tayuya. The redhead followed her eye and saw Hiruzen looking at them and nodding. Tayuya turned to Kin, who was giving her a warm smile. Hey Kin-chan, Naruto said, appearing next to her before turning to Tayuya. When he looked at her, his eyes widened. You're the other Uzumaki. What's it to ya? Tayuya asked. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and Naruto started. He was the one that saved me. Kin said, cutting him off. You can join us, just drop the barrier and you'll be safe. I don't know, Orochimaru is right there. Tayuya said. I promise, I'll protect you. Tayuya turned to the blonde. I'll stake that on my life, you could be happy with Kin and I got the old man to give you sanctuary. All you have to do is drop the barrier. Naruto said, holding out his hand, and Kin followed suit. Join us, Tayuya, and stop being a scaredy bitch. Kin said, knowing how Tayuya will act. Who are you calling a bitch? Do I look like a wimp? Fine. Tayuya released her hands and the barrier was starting to fade. This what those snake get for lying to me. Thanks Tayuya, but I need you to pass out. Kin said before sticking a senbon in her neck. Kin said, making Tayuya pass out. Naruto smiled and charged Orochimaru with his sword in his hand. Kuruma, can I pour some of your chakra in the sword? Kuruma poured his chakra through Naruto's sword like he requested. Hey Pedamaru. Orochimaru turned to the source of the voice and saw Naruto charged him. He crossed his arms to block, was shocked and started to see Naruto with a sword. The sword pierced through both of his arms. You have to do better than Uck. Orochimaru said before feeling pain in his arms. His coil started to burn and looked to see his arms burning. What's going on? You can thank the Kyuubi's chakra for that, now you can't use your arms anymore. Naruto said. I'll make sure you'll pay for this. Orochimaru sneered. Sound 4, get me out of here. Orochimaru ordered and 3 of the 4 jumped near him. Tayuya, where are you? He turned his head and saw her, captured, by Anbu. Damn it, I'll destroy this village and you old man, he said as he retreated. Naruto-kun. Naruto turned to see Karen arriving on a salamander. The enemy is retreating, Karen said. That's a relief, Naruto said as he saw the Hokage approach him alongside the Mizukage and Jiraiya. Gigi, permission to take a nap, Naruto said as he passed out after the adrenaline left his body. Anko jumped forwards and caught the blonde on her back. He's special, isn't he? Anko turned to Mei, who started caressing the blonde's cheek. Anko looked at Naruto's peaceful face and gave a warm smile. He sure is.